kicked off the team, whatever. There's so much instability, so much that we don't understand, that we don't know. For me, growing up, it was, a lot of you guys know my mom died giving birth to me. Then my dad remarried. Then my stepmom died in a car accident when I was 9. Then my dad got married again. Then my dad died of cancer when I was 12. And so I'm in junior high. My mom's dead. My stepmom's dead. My dad's dead. The only close relatives I had were my aunt and uncle, George and Sandra. And then when I was in high school, they got in a fight. And my uncle George shot and killed my aunt. And then stuck the gun to his own head. Killed himself. So I'm 16 years old, and this is life to me, going, man, what's next? Everything seems to be falling apart, and we get a little worried, we get a little scared. And this is what Christians do. They try to serve God, but then things get a little rocky, and things get a little unstable. And so we go, okay, that was nuts. I don't want to live like that. Let me hold on. And this is your routine. This is what so many people do. They go, you know what? I'm not going to try anything crazy. I'm just going to sit here, and I'm just going to hold on. And this is what you look like. You just go, this is what people do. You know what? I'm just going to have my nice little family. We're just going to, we're just going to keep to ourselves. We're going to live in a gated community, make them wear helmets everywhere. I'm going to, I'm not going to let them outside because sun has bad rays. I'm going to, just on and on and on, and you just live your life in the safety of, I don't want to do anything crazy for God. I just want to, go to church on Sundays and maybe give like 2%, and maybe help the nursery because I feel guilty. And then you do this your whole life, and then you go, your greatest prayer is like, God, you know what? I would love to die in my sleep and not even feel it, and then just go up to heaven. And so you want to die like this. Just in your sleep, right in the middle of a dream, good dream, the dream you're going to heaven and you don't even feel it. And then suddenly you wake up, you stand before the judge and you go. Now, if, could you imagine watching the Olympics, And some girl does that, just gets up there, starts straddling the thing, and then steps off and goes. What is the judge supposed to do on the card? You see, and to me, I go, man, that's the routine that so many Christians are headed for. That's the routine, the boring, I do nothing crazy because I don't want to fall. That's the routine that they're going to live, and then one day it's going to be a shock because they're going to step off that balance beam and realize they're standing before the judge. They're standing before the judge, and you think he's going to look at that routine and go, wow, well done. Well done. You lived the safest life possible. You didn't slip, you didn't fall. See, that's not the life that God's called us to. That's where the majority will head. But I don't want to go where the majority goes.
You won't be making a ride home.
It shouldn't be too surprising that the History Channel miniseries Hatfields and McCoys set a record of nearly 14 million viewers.
This is about honor.
The story has it all: murder, money, and moonshine.
We in this forever.
The Hatfields and McCoys were two clans who lived on opposite sides of the Big Sandy River, which runs between Kentucky and West Virginia. Each clan had a patriarch, Devil Anse Hatfield and Randall McCoy. It's still not exactly clear what started the feud, but many believe it was Randall McCoy's allegation in 1878 that a Hatfield stole one of his pigs. The first killing, 1882, Ellison Hatfield, shot by the McCoys. In retaliation, the Hatfields kidnapped 3 McCoy brothers.
Please, Captain Hatfield, let me take him back to Kentucky with me, please.
Over time, the two families reconciled.
Hatfield-McCoy Family Feud Special.
In 1979, in fact, they went on the game show Family Feud with a live pig on the stage, a nod to the hog who started it all. And next week, the annual Hatfield and McCoy Reunion Festival. Today, we Skyped with two of the organizers, David Hatfield and David McCoy. Really? I mean, nowhere in the back of your mind you're not thinking to yourself, I don't trust these Hatfield people.
No, nowhere in the back of my mind. Absolutely not.
Hey, some of my best friends in school were McCoys.
Are you sure you're telling me the truth? You look a little nervous about this question.
No, not at all.
As one of them said today, if the Hatfields and McCoys can get along, anybody can. Dan Harris, ABC News, New York.
Nelson Mandela achieved the status of a secular saint, revered not just in South Africa, but across the world.
Free, 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 Nelson Mandela.
He was the symbol of a just struggle against racism. A man who emerged from 27 years in prison unbowed, but without bitterness.
I have no doubt at all that he is going to be remembered as an icon of reconciliation and forgiveness, a person of very considerable magnanimity who was able to preside over a process of transformation when you make a transition from repression to democracy, and avoiding the bloodbath that everybody expected was going to have happened.
He was born in rural Transkei, the son of a polygamous marriage, the first in his family to go to school. The missionaries gave him the name Nelson. In white-ruled South Africa, the black majority were denied even the most basic rights. This was apartheid.
Strict laws keep Africans in their place. Separate lavatories and segregated park benches.
At university, Mandela joined the African National Congress, fighting for equal rights. At first, they believed in a Gandhian non-violent struggle, but Africans were being suppressed with ever more state violence. After the massacre by security forces of 69 demonstrators at Sharpeville in 1960, the ANC started an armed wing, Umkhonto we Sizwe, Spear of the Nation.
There are many people who feel that it is useless and futile for us to continue talking peace and non-violence against a government whose reply is only savage attacks on an unarmed and defenseless people.
He and his colleagues targeted military and government installations. Soon he was arrested. At the famous Rivonia trial, he said he was fighting for democracy and equal rights.
It is an idea for which I hope to live for and to see realized. But my Lord, if it needs be, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
He spent 18 of his 27-year imprisonment on Robben Island, where he broke stones with the other prisoners. Years later, he returned to the cell where he'd been incarcerated as prisoner number 46664. A fellow prisoner remembers how Mandela reacted when the head of prisons treated him with disrespect.
He said, "General, I want to say one thing to you. You are a general on the other side and I am a commander on one side, on the other side. When we have fought it out, when we've reduced our country to ashes, it will still be necessary for one to accept the surrender from the other, whoever wins and whoever loses. But how we behave at that moment of surrender will be dictated by how we have treated each other now."
Beyond the prison walls, South Africa was burning. There was warfare between black people and the forces of the apartheid state. Mandela became an icon of the struggle against injustice and racism. In London, campaigners marched for his release and for an end to apartheid. During the long years Mandela spent inside, they kept on marching. But this was the Cold War. The US and Britain supported the South African government because it was anti-communist. Mrs. Thatcher had no sympathy.
The ANC says that they will target British communists. This shows what a typical terrorist organization it is.
A huge concert at Wembley in 1988 in Nelson Mandela's honour provoked the anger of the apartheid government.
Nelson Mandela himself is a convicted criminal and is still in prison for those crimes.
But it showed the strength of global popular opinion. Free Nelson Mandela was the cause of a generation. And by then, secret talks were going on, which led to Mandela's release in 1990. He walked out hand in hand with his then wife Winnie. The crowds at his feet, the burden of hope on his shoulders. Not everyone knew whether he would push for revenge or reconciliation. They soon found out.
I have been saying throughout, let bygones be bygones. Let what has happened pass as something unfortunate, but which we must forget.
But the violence wasn't over. When a white extremist shot the ANC's Chris Hani, conflict looked likely again. It was Mandela who pulled South Africa back from the brink.
Our Father.
In 1993, he and F.W. de Klerk, the president who had released him, were awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. Theirs was a government of national unity, but Mandela ensured that the ANC prevailed.
He wouldn't raise his voice, but he'd make it very clear that this is what we want, and this is what I want, and this is the way it's going to happen. And if you don't like it, you can lump it.
April 1994. South Africans queued for their first free elections. One person, one vote, black or white. Mandela, the chief architect of the new dispensation, was elected president.
Never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression of one by another.
After one term, he handed over to Thabo Mbeki, his gift to Africa, the example of a leader who relinquishes power.
I'll be standing next to the road, saying, please help, unemployed, no money, a new wife.
He had just remarried to Graça Machel, widow of the late Mozambican president, and started the life of a statesman and celebrity, an international treasure. He founded the Nelson Mandela Foundation, partly to help people with AIDS, a problem he felt he had failed to address while in power. In 2004, he announced his retirement from public life with characteristic good humour.
The appeal, therefore, is, don't call me. I'll call you.
You look agitated, Jason.
Well, that's because there are 4 special branch cops in my office.
Oh, what did you do?
Nothing. They say they're the presidential bodyguards and they have orders signed by you.
Ah, yes, ah, yes. Well, these men are special trained by SAS. They have lots of experience. They protected de Klerk.
Yes, sir, but it doesn't mean that they have to come...
You asked for more men, didn't you?
Yes, sir. I asked...
When people see me in public, they see my bodyguards. You represent me directly. The Rainbow Nation starts here. Reconciliation starts here.
Reconciliation, sir.
Yes, reconciliation, Jason.
Comrade President, not long ago, these guys tried to kill us. Maybe even these 4 guys in my office tried and often succeeded.
Yes, I know. Forgiveness starts here, too. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That is why it is such a powerful weapon.